Here we go with Teimour Radjabov's top 5 moves. This is the top 5s. We got the candidates coming up. We got to see Teimour too, right? Here it is. Okay, this first game is Teimour Radjabov versus Bu Zhangzai. Okay, it's white to move. What do you do in this position? Pause the video if you need to. Of course, we're going to sit here. We're going to take stock of the position. What do you do? White to move. Okay, here we go. Right, Teimour Radjabov has 2 bishops, a queen and a rook versus 2 bishops, a queen, and a rook. We have an open F file. We got some work to do there. There is some things to do. But it feels like white's attacking, obviously, right? Well, that's on you to figure out what to do. It is white to move in this position. What do you do? And here we go. Here we go. Here's the move here. So, well, let's look around. Bishop takes e6 is obvious, right? I mean, we can't take this, but then what's the follow-up? Because bishop takes g4 is a real threat. He's about to take this, right? And, I mean, we don't really have the attack yet. Like, we can't get in there yet. He has everything covered, right? So what Radjabov says is, well, when you have everything covered, then you sack something. That's what you're supposed to do. You sack something. Right, it's in the book. So, rook f7 played immediately. Wow, what a move. Rook f7, crushing him, putting the rook on the 7th rank. Well, it can just be captured. Really? Oh, it can be, but bishop takes d7, all right? This is the whole idea. Rook f7 is beautiful because it's putting pressure on the 7th rank, saying, go ahead, please take my bishop on g4. Also, it's like, okay, well, there's no mate, so what happens if I take the bishop on g4, which is what happens in the game? It is white to move. What is your intention of this cool little rook f7 move you made? Oh, great, right? Yeah, that was cool. I couldn't take it because my queen was hanging. But if I take your bishop, what do you do now? Well, here's the move. Radjabov says, ha, gotcha, big fella. Here's the move. In fact, let's see what you guys have. Rook takes g7 is not it. That's not the move. You lose, in fact. Game over. Start a new game. Rook takes g7 does nothing. After here, take. Oh, okay, got your little check. Oh, that's cute. Oh, you got your little check. That's cute. You can resign too. Resign on the way out. Thank you. All right. There's nothing up. There's nothing left, literally. So after rook takes g7 doesn't work. So in fact, the move here is bishop f6. Oh my goodness. Send him a stretcher, right? Bishop f6. What a move here. Oh my goodness, it hurts, right? After bishop takes f6, there's queen h7 mate. Beautiful, right? So that's obvious. So the only way to capture this, and of course also there's this threat here of rook takes g7, also bishop takes g7 in many cases here, right? It's really rough stuff. Like if you see a rook g8 here, by the way, rook g8 is a nice defense, but you have rook takes e7. I mean, this is a disaster. Out of nowhere, everything's winning. You also have like some queen h6 here. Eventually, I mean, this is like, what is going on? Depending on where the queen moves, but there's scary stuff going on, to say the least. What is going on, right? So, of course, Bu goes for bishop takes g4. Actually taking the bishop after bishop f6. And then it was ef6. So here's the next move, taking the bishop, getting rid of it. So again, from the beginning here, rook f7, bishop takes g4, bishop f6, and then he takes the bishop and says, okay, cool, I'm going to take this bishop here now. You get my queen, so what? And we look up, and there's 3 pieces for the queen. Usually, this is pretty nice for the person with 3 pieces. But unfortunately, they're not open. This bishop is hitting air in a way. Everything's blocked up, right? Look at all this blocked up. Plus, we're about to get a pawn right now, which is captured. Boom. Takes it. And you can't even really do much about this. This is like really ugly here. Really ugly. I mean, you could go bishop f8, to be honest, which is surprising. The move here is a4. But bishop f8 is actually a move that you can play. After f7, you do have to worry about this weird check here, but you have to stay here. And you're just passive the entire time. But at least you have the pieces. I mean, at least you have the pieces still. You can't queen this yet, but this did not happen in the game. In fact, after rook takes d7, again, let's run through it. Rook takes, bishop takes. E takes f6. Black decided for a4 and just said, all right, cool, cut my losses here. I'm going with a4, which is actually just worse because we are giving up more material here. And now there's only 2 for the queen, which usually that's not enough, right? So let's finish the rest of the game here. King f2, h6, and there's about 15 moves or so here. So king e1, rook e6, and he shuffled around. And the goal here is to obviously move the king somewhere safe and use the queen and the pieces as much as we can to finish out this game. This is going to be a technical win. It's going to take a lot of time. You see how you move this king from g1 and walk the king all the way over here to this side of the board. There may be sacking potentials on c6 eventually. King g7, king b6. Got the king all... king went to d6. Fighting king, right? King f8, queen f2. Rook G6, Queen F5, H5, and G3. And this is where the game ends. The rest of the PGN's over here. So we're assuming a resignation. H4 is coming too as well, picking off the H5 pawn. King is in range. I mean, it's just annoying. It takes technique, but this was number 1 from Radjabov. Whoo, that was nice. This was number 1. Now let's move on to number 2. Here we go, guys, with number 2. This is Teimour Radjabov's number 2, top 5. So here we go. This is Viswanathan Anand. Oh, yeah, the man himself. The man, the myth, the legend. No one else. Right, Viswanathan Anand versus Teimour Radjabov. You're playing black here. It's black to move. Your queen's hanging. Take some time. Pause the video if you got to. Figure this one out. It's black to move. What do you do? Let's take stock. What's going on? My queen is hanging. It's out there. You need to do something. So we're going to move the queen, right? So let's see what we have. We can take the pawn. But there's this 2-for-1 idea, right? Queen takes, rook takes. So he's getting 2 pieces for that. Well, what if we move the queen maybe backward? Maybe try to pin him this way. Rook takes d4, right? Maybe queen b6. Nice little pin, right? Pin the win. Ooh, a little spicy there. And then bishop e3. Ouch. Doesn't work. So you're still losing material there. Wow. So what does Teimour do in this position? What do? You're going to lose material. So he says, you know what? I'm going to take f4 on the way out. If I'm going to lose something, I'm at least going to take something on the way out. But instead of rook takes d4, right, which is actually going to be answered by queen f2, believe it or not. Queen f2, oh my goodness, what a move. Keep this in mind. Okay, guys, keep this in mind, right? Keep this in mind. Rook, that did not happen because there's a nasty queen f2 move. But Anand says, I'm going to play rook f2 instead to attack this queen. It is now your move. Black to move. What are you going to do? Here it is. Here it is, chat. Well, we know the saying, right? Okay, my queen's hanging. When your queen is hanging, best practice says, it's hanging twice, by the way. When your queen is hanging, best practice says, let's put this in the chat if you remember this. Best practice says what? When your queen's hanging, you should sack it! Sack the queen! Oh my goodness! Queen takes f2! What is he doing? He sacked the queen, bro. Oh my goodness. Usually, let me go back. If rook f2, let me show you this one line. If rook takes d4 in this line right here, if rook takes d4, right, the knight is gone. So pay attention to this. So if queen f2 now, oh my goodness, king takes, bishop takes d4. And you're like, oh wow, that's cute. Oh, that's a little check. Well, first off, it's a double check. And if king e2, it's mate. Oh my goodness. Mate, rook f2 is mate. So if king to g3, okay, good, I was killed. Little queen sack, that was sweet. Right? You ever seen this, mate? Mate. Get it off the screen. Get it off the screen. The man's made it with 2 bishops. Oh my goodness. This is a family channel. Let's just get this off the screen. There could be kids watching. So that is gross. So in fact, that did not happen. Rook f2 was the move here. Rook f2. And after rook f2, same thing. We sack the queen. After king takes, we now don't have bishop d4. Ooh. Now what do you do? Now what do you do? You try the other way? Well, in fact, you block him with your whole face there. Bishop h4 is a checky poo what to do. And I'm just going to step out of the way and go like, thank you. Like, that was garbage, right? That didn't work. So after king takes f2, you have to find the next sequence of moves here. It is black to move. What do you do now? This is utter chaos. And he finds this move right here. I'm out. I'm done for the day. This is a wrap. Close off the video. You can stop right here. This is like top 5. All his top 5 moves in one move here. This is crazy. Knight b5. This is beautiful. Not only attacking knight c3, right? The bishop can take this. You're going bishop d4 check next with the same line that I just showed you. If you take with the knight, okay, knight. Have a good night. Not a good night for you. Bishop d4 check, double check. Sheesh. King e2, rook f2 is mate. King g3, bishop f2 mate. Bro, this is a non. You can't be doing this to this man like this, right? So this is knight b5. After knight b5, after knight to b5, and Anand realizes the danger and says, I got to get out of here, bro. You're not about to do me like this on national television and put me in the books forever. So king g1, right? He gets out the way. Have a nice day. None of that. So, of course, honestly, guys, there is like 15 moves left from right now. So we're going to fly through the moves so we can get through the rest of them. But what happened was knight takes c3, knight takes, bishop takes. Take stock of the position. We sacrifice the queen. But look, we got 2 passed pawns. Engines give this as plus 1.2. But as an engine, they see all, they know all, right? They know everything. So as a human, this is much harder to convert from the white side because there's 2 passed pawns. I have all of my pieces besides 1 minor piece. All for a queen? I mean, I'm going to take this all day, right? So, in fact, bishop takes c3, bishop b5, and Anand was unsuccessful playing this correctly, of course, as many humans would. Like, this is a very hard position to play from the white side. Bishop takes e1, queen takes. Now, I mean, we got the 2 rooks and all of this. This is great. You just say it's super equal now, but we got definitely the 2 passed pawns. Knight f5, we're trying to reroute our pieces, get a rook to an open file. Makes total sense. Right, and as we fast forward here, let's just see the play. And watch how the pawns start rolling right now. Pawn roll, there we go. Pass pawns, must be pushed. There's all kind of mate threats and stuff. So b6, pass pawns, must be pushed. King h2, pass pawns, finish the sentence, must be pushed. There we go. d3, queen b4, pass pawns. You should get this, but you should get the hang of this by now, right? e2, we just pushing, walking the dogs in the park. Very easy. And the bishop to c3, and now pass pawns. Don't push that pawn. Don't push that pawn. Don't push that pawn, okay? You're going to lose both of these pawns if you push them. So he plays rook takes c3 and gets rid of it. Queen takes it, knight g3, threatening some mating threats. Whoa, and I'm about to queen. I mean, this is disaster. Like, wow, with a queen on the board? Oh, my goodness. b7, rook takes b7, and queen a5 with the idea of setting up some type of perpetuals if you're not careful or you're not looking. So rook to b8, what a simple move. Just to stop all your little checky poos. Just get them checks out the way and game is over. What a game from Radjabov. That was amazing. That was number 2. Let's move on to number 3. Okay, guys, here we are with number 3. This one is Shiroff. Woo, Alexei Shiroff versus Teimour Radjabov. Black to move in this position. We are in check. I mean, it looks like we getting mated, right? You playing Shiroff, and this looks scary. I mean, this is just this is another day in office for Shiroff here, but a lot going on. Do we move the knight and block it? Right, and lose the queen. Now, of course, this is a check, so we wouldn't really lose it there. But do we give it up, or do we run for the hills? King f7 and try to run for our life. What do we do? In this position, it's black to move. You're in check. You're also playing Shiroff here. Whoa, what is going on? Here we go, guys. Look, check this out. So you're in check, right? We need to deal with this. We could go King f7. It is actually possible. It is very possible. But there is a lot going on, though. Bishop takes d5. I mean, it's a little scary. King e8, rook e6, king d7. I mean, if you're not sure about this, like, you know, this is like probably the scariest thing you've ever seen, right? It feels like you are going to get mated. There's also maybe some perpetuals, all type of checks. Don't go this way. I mean, you get mated, right? So it's scary. It's very scary. Teimour realizes this and says, you know what? Cool. Knight c3 check. Yeah, all day and every day. All day and every day. You can't take it with the pawn, which forces rook takes g3 check. Boom. That's a check as well, right? Nice little check. Cool. You can take it with the queen or the pawn. So we sacrifice our queen back. F takes g3. Rook takes h4, right? But now look at this. Am I just losing? Well, wait a second. I got 2 pawns on here on a 3rd rank. On the 3rd rank. Wow. Okay. So after g2 check, king to g1. F2 check, king takes g2. And now, what do you do, chat? What do you do? You're watching this. You're tied down. You can't move nothing. What do you do? How does Teimour win this? Does he win this? You'll find out. We're about to see right now. F1 queen. Boom. Right? That's a nice move. Diversion. You have to take this. And after taking, wait a second. Hold up. You got 2 bishops. I have 2 rooks. I can move one now. Rook d2. King g3 takes. We up a piece. Or we up an exchange. Excuse me. We're up an exchange here. But this is not, it's clearly not over, obviously. We still have work to do as there's 4 pawns versus 3. And the 2 rooks versus the rook and the bishop. If there were less pawns on the board, I mean, this would be very close to a draw. But in fact, it is not. And bishop c4 check, king g7. Bishop b3, locking stuff up, defending b4 as well. And then we play rook to b8. Number to b1, checking possibilities, maybe even trying to keep the king locked up over here. If we could trade a pair of rooks, it'd be good to go. King g2 in many cases. Rook c8, King f3, rook c3, check. King goes to g4. We go over to f1, king h5, and then king f6, and there was a resignation here. In fact, because of course we have many ideas like backing up this way. You have rook g1, you also have rook f4, and you also have here and here. In many cases, there was a lot of ways to win here, actually. So, but with that being said, this was number 3 from Radjabov against Shiroff here again from the beginning. That was pretty cool. Seems like he was in a lot of trouble. He plays knight to g3. Boom. Right? Sacrificing the queen back, saying, and this was pure calculation, right? You have to calculate all of this out, even seeing f1 check in that whole line. I mean, his calculation is next level. Sheesh. After takes, he saw all of this and was able to get some position and something greater than what he got in the beginning there, and was able to win this game. That was Shiroff versus Radjabov, number 3. Now let's move on to number 4. Here we go, guys, with Radjabov, number 4. Teimour Radjabov's number 4 of the top 5s. This one is against Alexander Bortnik. Oh, we know who that is. If you don't know, that's okay. Look, just Google it, right? We'll forgive you. We'll act like it never happened. Alexander Bortnik playing with the black pieces, and Teimour Radjabov with white. It is white to move. As you see, we have some type of king side attack here. Some type of king side attack. I mean, look at the bishop here. If we can get to g7, right? Woof, man. But the knight is defending that very well. Also, I mean, this kind of looks loose. Maybe we sack a rook or something. Maybe, maybe rook sack. Maybe bishop takes. Maybe bishop e4. Maybe queen check. Maybe queen h6. What do you do? White to move. Here's the move, guys. So, here's another rule that we like to give here at the channel on Chess.com. When your queen is not defended, or when your queen is not being attacked, right? I remember reading this vividly. When your queen is not being attacked, it is okay to sacrifice it. Queen takes h5 check. Absolutely. If it's you can sacrifice it when it's being attacked and when it's not being attacked, right? Queen takes h5 is the move. Oh my goodness. Who was thinking of this one? I don't think many people would have saw this one. I mean, you're looking at this check, rook takes, bishop takes. Who in their right mind or wrong fathomed this one? Queen takes h5. Oh my goodness. Were you looking at that one? I'm going to be honest. I did not look at this one. Queen h5. I mean, of course, at the first glance. But here, queen takes h5. This is not what you're looking at. You're not looking at this one. Queen takes h5. Bishop takes. And now you have to find a follow-up, right? Bishop takes h5. Check. King to g8. Cool. We got an easy check here. Rook g1. Have to block because you got the bishop on the other side of the board. Crisscrossing like this, right? Obviously, you couldn't go to e6 because of the pawn. So knight g7 is forward. Boom. Rook takes g7. Now we got a nice little windmill here. Beautiful. Right, and then it says, okay, wait a second, rook takes c7, right? Because there's mate. You have to block with the rook. If you go king g8, you get mated. How? Well, king g8, rook g7, king h8, and rook anywhere on the g file, doesn't matter. Rook f6 and bishop f6 is mating. So rook f6 was literally forced. So so after rook takes e7, rook f6. And then we take the rook, king to goes to g8, rook g7 check. If you go here, you get mated, so it forces king to f8. King f8, then rook takes h7 with a mate threat on the board that you can't even stop, really. Right? You could go queen g4, but come on now. Queen g4, really? Really? Queen to g4. Okay, got it. Teimour Radjabov. And you're going to play queen g4. Right. So this is not actually, you're not going to play queen g4. In fact, what he did play was queen f5, but just allowing h8 checkmate. This was just game over. Like, it was no way out of this, to say the least. I mean, that was absolutely brilliant, super strong stuff from Teimour Radjabov, and this is only the beginning of it, right? Candidates is right around the corner. Woo, man, this stuff is nasty. Queen takes h5 check. Oh my goodness, out of all the possibilities. Queen takes. I mean, rook takes you're thinking of all day. Rook takes, like, I mean, I'm not even, honestly, guys, like, this just looks so good, right? Rook takes h5. But in fact, there's queen f5 that kind of helps there, weirdly enough. But queen h5, bishop takes, king g8, check, and then take again, and take on e7. I mean, look at this. This is just, oh my, let me get this off the screen. This was number 4. We're going to move on to the last one. Okay, guys, here we are with the final one, another one from these guys. Radjabov versus Anand. Now, the other time it was Anand versus Radjabov. So now Radjabov has white against Viswanathan Anand. You guys know who that is, the legendary monster, former world champ. We already know, right? Anand playing black. Radjabov playing white. Take a stock of the position. What is going on? Pause the video if you need to. It is white to move. What do you do in this position? Let's take stock. What's going on? So we got an open rook file. First off, what's black threatening? Both of these knights here. We are definitely going to be in some trouble if you move the knight the wrong place. But we could capture. But then maybe that allows queen takes c4. I really don't like the knight on c6. It's some stuff we have to handle here, though. These knights are kind of weirdly placed. Could be attacked, or they are attacked right now. King's kind of in the center, but we have some pressure, though. Like, we got some pressure. Maybe the D file, F file's open. Looks like some type of Sicilian happened here. Right, you know, so what do you do, though? What do you do? So many moves. So many moves. What do you do? Here it is. I hope you're ready for this one. And this is why we save the best for last. Here it is. Now, there's a lot going on. I have some pieces and stuff hanging. So I'm going to just sack a piece. Why not? Sacrifice a piece. You're always going to see this from Radjabov. Like, what else did you think you was going to see? Knight takes e6, threatening knight c7 checkmate. This is nasty. If you take on e4, well, have a good day there, right? Won't be living anymore. Knight c7 is checkmate. Oh, man, look at the bishop, right? Beautiful. Knight c7 checkmate. Beautiful stuff, right? That's beautiful. So, of course, what about, let's say, let's go with a pawn takes, right? How about that? Maybe a pawn takes. Pawn takes e6. Right? Did you forget about this bishop? H5? Boom. Bishop H5 check. Ugh. Oh my goodness. And get it off the screen. Get it off the screen right now. Right now. So knight takes E6 is beautiful. That's a beautiful move. Knight takes E6. Boom. You can't take it. You can't take this one. You have to defend against knight C7, which is checkmate. Right? And then if you go bishop E7, then I go knight C7 and takes. Like, your position is gross. Come on now. There's going to be a wrap very soon. So Anand says, all right, you know what? I got to close up this bishop. It's the bishop that's giving me all the issues. So he plays G5. So now, right now, currently, there are 3 pieces hanging right now. 3 pieces. What do you do about it? 3 pieces hanging right now. How do you get out of this? How do you get out of this? Light to move. What did Teimour Radjabov do right here? Here it is. Here it is. Whew, man. When you got 3 pieces attacking, here's the rule. When you got 3 pieces being attacked, you just check, I guess, because there's not a rule for that. I don't know how he got out of this one. Right? You got 3 pieces attacked. There's no rule to that one. Knight f6 check was the only move in this position. The best move, in fact. Knight f6 check is the move, right? This is a nasty move. Of course, if knight takes f6, let's look at every line. King d8, not possible. King e7 runs into checkmate in 1. Queen d6 is checkmate. Look at these pieces here. I mean, how is he doing this to these top level players? Like, whoa. And then knight f6, you also have knight takes. There's only 2 moves. You have king e7 and knight takes f6. We just looked at king e7. And knight f6 is a very natural move. It also opens up the bishop. But unfortunately, that leads to mate 2 after knight c7. King e7 and queen d6 with the same mate here in the pawn defending. I mean, beautiful checkmates here by Radjabov here, ending that on the spot. So again, the combination with knight takes e6, threatening knight c7 checkmate. If g5, which was actually what was played, knight f6 ends it. I mean, these knights going crazy here, and that was it. In fact, after knight f6, Anand resigned right here in this position. Sheesh, that's GG. Because again, after king e7, there's queen d6 mate. And after knight f6, there's knight c7, king e7, and checkmate. These were Teimour Radjabov's top 5. The candidates is right around the corner, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this and were hype about it and all that stuff, just like as hype as I was about looking at these top 5s, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure you guys check the next one right above me. We'll see you on the next video.